and others in the Obama administration are keeping their distance, despite mounting calls to ratchet up involvement amid fears the country is teetering on the brink of civil war. A deadly blast of Arctic air shattered decades-old temperature records as it enveloped the eastern United States on Tuesday, snarling air, road, and rail travel, driving energy prices higher and overwhelming shelters for homeless people. At least 9 deaths have been reported. You're listening to IRN USA News.
Well, ring-a-ding-ding, the year was 1936, and Leo and Lillian Goodwin were hot to trot for the world to save some big bucks on automotive insurance. So they opened up a little joint called Geico. Geico had the goods for all the dolls and Joes who were keen on swell service and keeping the cabbage.
Flash forward over 75 years, and Geico is still helping customers save money every day, and with 97% customer satisfaction. Today, the peeps would refer to that as pretty darn tight.
Geico, saving people money for over 75 years.
When I need to save my business a few bucks, this happens.
Office Max has a coupon for 20% off almost everything.
Okay, but what I really need is a new logo.
Office Max can help you design your brand identity and create business cards, letterhead, and more.
Great. Now about all these files.
Office Max has storage solutions that are just your style.
Nothing can stop me now.
That untied shoelace might.
If you need it for your business, you'll find it at Office Max. Now at 20% off. Restrictions apply. 20% off on select products only. Go to officemax.com for coupon and details. Offer ends January 11th.
The French digital privacy watchdog is fining Google for breaking rules on ensuring data privacy. National correspondent Hope Duggar reports.
The CNIL agency says Google's new privacy policy, which applies to all of its services from email to calendars, isn't specific enough about how and why it collects data from users and doesn't define how long it keeps such data, among other problems. EU authorities have also said the new privacy policy does not follow their rules. Google has contended that the new policy is simpler and complies with European law. Since the company did not change its policy as requested, the CNIL said Wednesday that it's fining Google. The agency also asked the search giant to post a statement about the decision on its French homepage, google.fr. With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Hope Duggar.
Authorities in England cordoned off flooded marshes Wednesday to investigate the crash of a military helicopter that killed 4 U.S. Air Force crew members. The Pavehawk helicopter slammed into the eastern coast during a low-level training mission Tuesday evening. This is IRN USA News.
Tonight, I cannot even conceive how you get charges dropped, released from jail, and put in charge of a unit.
I'm a changed man.
There are good cops and bad cops.
Can't do everything with a battering ram. The hell I can.
Detective Voight is a little bit of both.
I want to get out. You have a future beyond this neighborhood. It's okay to want that.
Chicago PD from Dick Wolf, executive producer of SVU and Chicago Fire. The premiere of Chicago PD After Revolution and SVU tonight on NBC.
Former Defense Secretary Robert Gates is sharply critical of President Barack Obama in a new memoir titled Duty: Memories of a Secretary at War. Washington correspondent Connie Lawn reports.
The White House is fighting back against a new book by former Defense Secretary Robert Gates. He was extremely critical of President Obama and Vice President Biden in their foreign policy decisions. Gates said the White House respected military leaders and was convinced the war in Afghanistan would fail. Gates also said agreements with the Obama White House were good for only as long as they were politically convenient. The White House says Gates is wrong, and the president stands with Vice President Biden. Connie Lawn at the White House.
The largest outbreak of what authorities call nightmare bacteria is adding to concerns about the spread of drug-resistant bugs. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the largest outbreak to date of this bacteria, which is centered on a hospital in a Chicago suburb, has infected 44 people in Illinois over the past years. The bug bears a rare enzyme that breaks down antibiotics. A medical officer with the CDC and supervisor for the Illinois Outbreak Investigation, Alex Kalin, says the bug is a, quote, huge cluster, noting that only 97 cases of the infection has been reported to the agency since 2009. The superbug lives in the intestines and is not typically transmitted by casual contact outside of hospitals. With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Precious Watson.
My fellow Americans,
you are a meathead.
KTOX1340.com. Check it out.
KTOX.
No additives, no preservatives, no chemicals.
It's just good, clean fun.
Dandy Donut and Deli at 4630 Highway 95 in Fort Mojave has fresh baked donuts and pastries every day. They also feature sandwiches made to order, burritos, salads, wraps, and much more. Come in for breakfast and try the Sunrise Croissant Sandwich. It's a freshly buttered croissant with 2 scrambled eggs, American cheese, a choice of ham, bacon, turkey, or sausage, and a side of fresh fruit, mini muffin, or a regular donut. Don't forget the smoothies, fresh coffee, iced or hot, and Thai iced tea. Dandy Donut and Deli at 4630 Highway 95 in Fort Mojave, where quality food and service happen every day.
When it comes to local news, state news, business news, national news, sports, variety, information, and more, KTOX is the Tri-State's talk leader.
Live from Studio D in Needles, California, KTOX 1340 AM and Pirate Web Radio Productions presents the Rob Hanson radio program.
In my world, everyone's a pony, and they all eat rainbows and poop butterflies.
I mean, nobody got dead in the regatta. Okay? That's a good thing, right?
To me, a safe regatta is no fatalities.
If I wanted anything to do with Sam McDonald, I'd call Domino's and order a pizza.
Welcome. It is the Rob Hanson radio program right here at KTOX 1340 AM, the Tri-State's Renegade radio station. Hope you're having a really wonderful afternoon. And I want to say a big hello to everybody who is watching this live on live stream via bounceradio.net/talk radio, or even KTOX1340.com, or however it is that you are getting to this stream. Welcome. And of course, everybody listening on their radios at home, or in their car, or wherever. How y'all doing today? Oh boy, it is January 8th, 2014, about 7 minutes after the hour, 3:15 in California, Nevada, 3:07. Why did I say 15? Because it says 15:07. 3:07 in California, Nevada. There we go. 4:07 in Arizona. One of these days I'm going to get the times right. You know, just say 8 after the hour, Rob. You won't be so confused then. Oh boy, gonna have a good show today. I got a gentleman coming on with me this afternoon who's going to talk about 21 days success with social networking. So it's be a way to discuss and strengthen your networking. Your network in 2014, your social network, your business network, whatever network it is you need to work on. We're going to talk about it. His name is Ron Sukenick, and he'll be coming on here at roughly around 4:15ish, thereabouts. So I'll be taking a break normally, and then come back in, and we'll have him for the rest of the second hour. But this hour, we're going to go back into education. I know it happens every so often. You know, kids are just going back to school now. It's after the holiday break or the Christmas break or whatever break that it is that they're calling it, whatever PC terms they decide they need to attach to it. Winter break. Winter break is what they called it up in Bullhead. But they're all heading back to school now. They've been in school for 3 days since the Christmas break, and every semester I have meetings with the school for one of my daughters, and today's meeting, I have to say, left a very sour taste in my mouth. I'm not going to get into the exact reasons why, because don't need to. But we're going to talk about education and education in America right now, and possibly discuss some steps that we can elevate or help our schools educate our children. 'Cause it's, doggone it, they're not doing it on their own. And unless a parent is involved and stays involved, like I am with my kids, they just don't get a proper education. And got some interesting statistics I pulled today, and from a variety of different sources. Some of it federal statistics, nationwide federal statistics. Some of them local statistics. Some of them some of them are just, doggone it, what can we do? Statistics. But we have a problem. Johnny can't read. Mary can't do math. And one of the statistics I'm reading here is American 12th graders ranked 19th out of 21 industrial countries in mathematics, and 16th out of 21 nations in science. And our advanced physics students rank dead last. This from a nation who put men on the moon. This from a nation that took computing to an entirely new level. Yeah. The invention, the nifty invention of the home computer, which seems to get better and better every 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days, whichever. This from the country who has used to lead the world in industry. I'm sure you're probably going to disagree with me, and you can. 1-800-842-1340 is the number you want to get involved in the conversation. But we're going to go through some of these statistics because, frankly, I don't understand how we got here. Well, I do understand how we got here, and it's a frightening tale, but I don't understand why we've allowed it to stand. I don't understand why we have allowed ourselves to become dumbed down, especially the next generation. And we're going to talk about that because I want your phone calls and I want your input on this because it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us. It's not a no single one person, no single one program, no single one entity is going to be able to cure this. And unless we do something, it's just going to continue to get worse and worse. And don't believe Common Core is going to be the end-all answer. It's not. It is the Rob Hanson radio program. 1-800-842-1340 is the number. Take your phone calls after we come back from this little break. KTOX 1340 AM, the Tri-State's Renegade radio station.
You're listening to Our Daddy on KTOX 1340 AM. Tune in daily. Peace.
KTOX 1340 AM.
The Tri-State's original local talk station.
And now for your local news from KTOX.
The CEO of Golden Vertex Mine, Dick Whittington, appeared before the Bullhead City Council to dispel and confirm rumors that the mine is not shut down. However, no mining is occurring at the site.
I just want to clarify, the Moss Mine is not shut down. The Moss Mine has scaled back. We no longer have a mining operation. We no longer have what we call a crushing, screening, and agglomerating operation. We just have a heap leach. We are still in operation. It is a scaled back operation. I just want to make it clear that phase 2, which we've talked about, is not going ahead. We do have to raise $30 to $35 million. The market is very difficult right now. The price of gold has continued to come down. This is not a good time to be in the gold market as well. Right now, it's going to be a tough quarter for the company.
That was Golden Vertex Mine CEO Dick Whittington.
Private property rights are at issue in the challenge by the Navajo Nation to a federal decision involving access to religious sites. A 2006 agreement between the Navajo and Hopi that settled a decades-long land dispute is being cited by the Hopi tribe after a religious practitioner was cited for trespassing. The land in question is held by an allotment holder, similar to private property, and commissioners say they do not have jurisdiction over such property. The case has been appealed to the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court.
This has been your local news from
KTOX,
the Tri-States talk leader.
And get the machine that goes bing. Drive down Marina Drive, and you'll see what blight is like. Someone here talked about blight. How do we fix blight if we don't have the funding for it? How do we take care of that?
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girl in Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Dad, I don't think that will work.
Oh, nonsense. Duct tape fixes everything.
Uh-oh, Mom's gonna kill you.
Dad, you should get new flights for your darts and New Life games.
Yeah, Dad, Joey has all sorts of good stuff there.
Billiard and pool along with old school video games. He'll even fix their slot machine for us, Dad.
Okay, girls, let's go to New Life Games at 1159 Highway 95 in Bullhead City, Arizona. And let's go before your mom figures out I broke the window again.
You're listening to KTOX AM 1340, Needles, California, the home of talk in the tri-state.
Hi, you're listening to KTOX live from Needles, California, your community radio station. Let's get this thing started. Peace out.
Welcome back. It is the Rob Hanson radio program right here on KTOX 1340 AM, the Tri-State's Renegade radio station. Number here if you want to get involved and talk about anything you want to talk about. It doesn't necessarily have to be what I'm talking about, but it would be helpful. You know, I like squirrel moments, though. Take me away from what I'm PO'd and angry about and off into a different direction. Then I come back and I'm not quite so angry anymore. 1-800-842-1340 is the number if you want to call in, and we'll talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. And but I'm talking about education. Education in the United States, education in the local area. Education statewide or your state or wherever you happen to be listening from. Are our kids making the grade? Now think back to when you were in school. Think back to when you were in school. Think back to say junior high school, 8th grade. Or some people, you know, that was high school or middle school or whatever school. But think back to then. Think back to the standards that you were held to at that point in your life. You had multiple classes, you had a locker, multiple textbooks you had to shuffle, and you know, homework coming out your ears pretty much every night from all sorts of different classes. You had advanced mathematics that you were starting to get into, algebra, sometimes if you were really smart, higher algebra. Maybe if you were lucky, a computer lab. You had home economics, and you had some other electives like drafting or typing using the IBM Selectric typewriter. But you were held to standards. You had to pass the classes that you took. Otherwise, you got held back, period. Otherwise, you did not go forward, period. And teachers would actually call your parents if you were starting to slip in their class. And hopefully your parents were parents at that time, and most parents were, that actually gave a hoot to whether or not you were doing well in class. And would sometimes even call the school and ask for updates on you. Whew, my parents did. Scared the heck out of me every time. Today, getting any kind of information out of the school is like pulling teeth. First, you got to get them to open up, and then you got to get the pliers wrapped around them to get the information out. And if your kid's not doing well, you don't find out until they send home pieces of paper that don't necessarily mean anything. Gives you a synopsis of what's going on in the class. Missing homework, participation grade, whatnot, and so forth. I mean, I remember when I was in junior high school, I didn't turn in an assignment, and that counted significantly against my final grade because it was a homework assignment. It had to do with what we were learning that day. Had to do with what we were trying to study at that point. We had a math book, probably 2 or 3 inches, or inch and a half to 2 inches thick. It was heavy. It was blocky, but it had everything I needed to know to understand what the issue is we were working on. And we had to do problems out of that, either every other problem or all the problems or blah blah blah. Nowadays, neither of my children who are in junior high school have math books. They're given math assignments by their teacher to either work on in class or once a week come home with math homework. And it doesn't necessarily correspond with what they are learning at that time. Because the local school board decided that every child will have homework once a night from a one of the core studies. And that it will count as 10% of their total grade and blah, 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 blah. So, when they sit down and go do their homework, it isn't necessarily something that they're even covering or they've covered so long ago and have now not even done it for a while that they get confused. Oh, it's good practice. I haven't been in school for a long, long time. I sit down and I look at their homework and I get confused almost immediately. And I have them explain to me how they're supposed to do this homework, which I guess is good, because if they can teach it, they know it. But I also remember that the classes weren't necessarily modeled to the lowest common denominator. The classes were pretty large, sometimes in upwards of 25 to 30 students per teacher per class. And we still were able to talk to the teacher, get some help, or they were able to provide a little extra instruction. Sometimes you had to stick around at the end of the class to get it. Now, take a trip to your local Bullhead Junior High School and look at how they even enter the classes. Before they can come in the door, they have to line up in a straight line and be quiet. I heard this morning. Line up and be quiet. No talking while you come into class. What? No, welcome to my class. Let's get down to the business of actually learning. No, let's jump in. Let's fall in line. Let's everybody do the same dang thing, whether they're able to or not. And if you can't get it, well, too bad, because we're going ahead. We're moving forward. Forward goes the education soldier. Since 1983, over 10 million Americans have reached the 12th grade without having to learn to read at a basic level. Over 20 million reached their senior year unable to do basic math. Almost 25 million have reached 12th grade without knowing the essentials of U.S. history. I guess that was when Napoleon crossed the Delaware, right? You guys are laughing at me now, I hear you. In that same period, over 6 million Americans dropped out of high school altogether. In 1996, 44% of Hispanic migrants ages 16 to 24 were not in school and did not hold a diploma. Now, these are statistics that come directly from the federal government. In the fourth grade, 77% of children in urban high-poverty schools are reading below basic on the National Assessment of Education Progress, the NEAP. Currently, average black and Hispanic 17-year-old children have an NAEP scores in math, science, and reading and writing that are equivalent to the average white 13-year-old child. Now, that's just a overview of student performance nationwide. There's a lot more into that report there that don't have time and frankly don't have the inclination of going into. But let's look at school spending and use of resources when we come back. It is the Rob Hanson radio program right here on KTOX 1340 AM. We'll be right back right after the bottom of the hour news.
We can leave your friends behind, 'cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. See, we can go where we want to, places they will never find, and we can act like we come from out of this world, leave the real one far behind.
You're listening to KTOX 1340 AM, Needles, California.
Arizona News Radio. Ceremonies in Tucson and Washington commemorating the 3rd anniversary of the Tucson shootings that targeted Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who had a special day.
Earlier today, she jumped out of an airplane and took a tandem dive, another skydive, their second one. This woman's resilience has no bounds.
That's Congressman Ron Barber. A Casa Grande woman faces murder charges in connection with the suffocation death of her 13-year-old daughter.
We make a decision with a panel in my office, and after coming back with that, then I will make a final decision as to whether to impose the death penalty at a later time.
That's Lando Voyle, the Pinal County attorney. Maricopa County Sheriff's Posse member shot trying to help an officer arrest 2 suspects. Underwent more surgery today, making a recovery as funds are given to his wife.
It's overwhelming. It's wow. Yeah, I'm very appreciative.
For these and other stories, go to ArizonaNewsRadio.com. I'm Schwartz Tanner.
Badger Mutual Insurance encourages you to drive safely, and hopefully you'll never have an accident. But if it happened to you, would you know what to do? Always contact the police first. Take photos of the scene and cars involved, including license plates. Remember, your phone is a camera. Always keep paper and pencil in your glove box along with your insurance card. Write down any witness names, and if anyone appears injured, notify Badger Mutual Insurance as soon as possible. To learn more about Badger Mutual Insurance, call your independent agent or visit badgermutual.com.
Thinking about quitting smoking or chewing tobacco? This is one time when quitting makes you a winner. And just like in sports, every winner has a coach behind him to make it work. So get a coach to help you be a winner when you quit tobacco. Call Ashline 1-800-556-6222. The coaching is free, and you'll get help with medications too. Winners never reach their goal.
And now for your local news from KTOX.
Taking a proactive lead in reducing health care costs, the Mojave County Board of Supervisors at their meeting on Monday approved the offering of a wellness program for county employees. It is anticipated Mojave County will become a healthier place to live by getting rid of diseases caused by controllable factors such as obesity and smoking. The county will provide access to the program and assistance to all employees who are interested in participating. A plea agreement to 2 of 10 charges was entered by Eulelio Trejo Hernandez, 18 of Golden Valley, in an attempt to avoid up to 24 years in prison for having child pornography on his cell phone, photos that he shared online at a social networking site. The plea was to 2 counts of attempted sexual exploitation of a minor and will see Hernandez being sentenced to lifetime probation and up to 1 year in county jail at a 3 February sentencing hearing in Mojave County Superior Court. A home invasion in Bullhead City on Sunday left 2 women visibly shaken after 2 men held them at gunpoint, threatened them, and demanded the women give them money and weed. The thieves kicked in the front door, with one of them pointing a shotgun and pulling the trigger twice. Fortunately, the weapon did not discharge. The suspects fled the scene with a small safe and a black Toyota Camry bearing a stolen license plate.
This has been your local news from
KTOX, the Tri-States Talk leader.
And get the machine that goes bing. Drive down Marina Drive, and you'll see what blight is like. Someone here talked about blight. How do we fix blight if we don't have the funding for it? How do we take care of that?
Sometimes I feel I've got to run away. I've got to get away from the pain. You drive into the heart of me. The love we share seems to go nowhere.
Might help if I actually turned on the microphone before I start talking. Welcome back. It is the Rob Hanson radio program. This is KTOX 1340 AM. Welcome back. 34 after the hour in the tri-state area, talking about education in the U.S. and, some troubling facts about American education. I compiled these from compiled this information from a number of different sources. Some of it's a little dated. Some of it's current to the date, but it gives an overall telling of exactly where we're at and where our head is at as far as education goes in the United States. The average per pupil spending in U.S. public schools rose 212% from 1960 through the year 2001. And these are in real inflation-adjusted dollars. Okay, so we're spending 212% more per student than we were in 1960. And our grades are continually sinking to the bottom. In 1960, for every U.S. public school teacher, there was approximately 26 students enrolled in the schools. By 1995, there were 17. That's because we hired more teachers, thinned out the classrooms, made them smaller so the teachers could spend more time with the children. Hasn't worked, has it? In 1994, fewer than 50% of the personnel employed by the U.S. public schools were teachers. Fewer than 50% were teachers. That's a lot of admin work, isn't it? Or does that include substitute teachers, or does that include what? I don't know. The average salary of a U.S. school teacher rose 45% from 1965 to 2000. So it's gone up considerably. Now, mind you, teachers, nobody makes enough money. Nobody makes enough money anymore. We'll take a phone call real quick. KTOX, you're on the air.
Well, no one else will call, so guess what?
Oh, my non-radio nemesis.
I'm a non.
Yeah, non-radio nemesis.
Don the non.
Don non-radio. Yes, that's you. How you doing today? How's beautiful downtown Fort Mojave?
Uptown.
Either one. 61
we're
half
up.
You're
not
up.
Down.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, it took me 30 minutes or more just to air the tires up in the van.
Holy cow.
Does that tell you how old I'm getting?
You want to do mine?
Hell.
No.
Yeah, next month. Let me rest up.
Let you rest up. Yeah, by the time that is, I'll be running.
You started the school thing, and I've said it before. I'll say it again, and you're right. Administration.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking tons of money that I don't think they deserve. It goes right hand in hand with our fine Congress and Senate and those guys taking our money that they just don't deserve. Give it to the people that really do the work.
I agree.
Oh, shucks. I thought maybe you'd...
I agree. Why would I argue with that? I just said it. I agree with it.
I thought maybe you thought about it and you come up with a different...
Not really. It's...
No.
Yeah,
no, I think it's the truth.
So some of this is just common sense stuff. You look at it and go, okay, here we are. We're spending X amount of dollars every year on education. Yeah. Evidently, something's not working.
Well, if you look at it, when a guy wants to become, say, a state legislature, or he has visions of the U.S.,
mm-hmm.
Where does he start? The school district.
Correct.
Well, he's not really what you would call somebody that knows what's happening with the school district. He just he's using that as a stepping stone to go on to bigger and better things.
I wouldn't say that all the time, but yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, you see a lot of them do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it should be somebody that in administration, the superintendent of the school should be somebody that has come up through the ranks that knows what's happening with schools.
Absolutely.
And not somebody that just says, oh, I'm going to be superintendent of the schools.
Not somebody who's gone to college with the expectation of becoming a superintendent of schools. Correct.
Right. He's gone to college to get a law degree so he can become a damn politician. There we go again. See, that's another purge on society.
Well, my grandfather, my mother's father, started teaching clear back. I think around where dinosaurs were roaming the earth still. He worked his way through the education system, and by the time he retired, he was a superintendent of schools in Rawlins, Wyoming. Now, mind you, that's not a very big town.
Yeah.
But it was a unified school district. The superintendent oversaw the high school, the junior high schools, and the grade schools. I think there were like 3 grade schools, a junior high school, and a high school in Rawlins, Wyoming. Mm-hmm. He knew the names of every student. He knew the names of every teacher. He knew the names of every substitute teacher. He took an active role.
Right.
He just didn't sit there and drop down. Here's the way you're going to do things, and then micromanage. No, he sat in classes. Sometimes he taught classes because they couldn't find enough substitute teachers. So he was active.
Yep.
And I learned a lot from the man because he basically said, whatever the kid's interested in, teach it to them.
Well, see, to me, that is the sign of a good manager. And I don't, it doesn't have to be just anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I have run across in my life so many bosses that had no idea of how the operation worked. My wife at the moment, has a boss that doesn't have a clue and doesn't really. I mean, they instituted a new computer program.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody in management, her and below, had to take classes and, learn this. But her boss, he doesn't have a clue how it works.
Yeah.
And aren't you going to do? Oh, no, I don't need to because you
guys know how to do it. I don't
right.
even know how to do it.
Well, then why are you even,
Exactly.
Why are you even here?
Exactly. I started out to today's program. You probably heard, comparing my education to my children's education.
Right.
I think they're missing a lot. They're not getting the hands-on time that I got, even with larger classrooms.
Well, and then go on back to when I was in grade school or junior high.
Mm-hmm.
Grade school. I mean, if you acted out,
you got your butt
You went
whomped.
to the principal's office, and they had a paddle.
You got your butt whomped.
That's right, and
Mm-hmm.
it came with parents' approval.
Yep.
If your dad or mom said no, well, then they wouldn't do that. But if they did, I got spanked, and I deserved it.
Oh,
they didn't give you a beating, but
my folks said, you get spanked at school. You're going to get it worse at home.
Right. Well, and that's exactly how I felt about my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And when my mom said, "Well, wait till your dad gets home,"
Uh-oh.
it had me squirming.
Yeah.
I'd go, "Oh God."
Here we go.
Oh boy, I've done it again.
Yeah.
And then, of course, another week or two, and I've done it again.
See, the thing is that shows you had active parents.
Oh yeah.
You had active parents.
Well, and then I had a stepdad, that which back then was, divorce wasn't really prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
Prevalent, pardon me. But, of course, I couldn't, it took me a lot of years to understand my stepdad.
Right.
And one of the finest gentlemen ever born, as far as I'm concerned. He's passed, but, at the time, well, you're not my dad and you can't Oh, ow. You're mean.
The solid thump upside the head to
Yeah,
correct
but he got my
that. Correct
attention,
that one. Yeah, I understand that, but here we have, we're living in a society where the teachers have to be hands off. They can't touch the kids. They can't correct the kids. They can't look cross-eyed at the kids without fear of fear of a lawsuit.
Right, and we lawyers. See?
Yeah, it always comes back down to those snakes in the grass. I understand that.
And it just, some of these kids anymore, not all, there's a lot of good kids out there.
Mm-hmm.
But they just have no respect, for the teacher or anybody, for that matter. And they get away with it. Well, if you get away with it, why not? Let's take it up a step.
Prime example. This morning I was sitting there waiting for them to open the door so I could go in and have this silly meeting. Kid comes up and says, "Hey, what time is it?" If I could reach to that gate and slap him upside the head a minute and go, "Hey, manners. Excuse me, sir. Do you know what time it is?" "Sure." Right. "What time is it?" Come on. You're right. We're not teaching our kids manners or respect for that matter.
Right.
Yes.
I was always, told to open the door for all ladies and elderly, gentlemen and women.
Yep.
You open the door.
If you're younger, your job is doorstop.
You open it and wait till they get in, and then you enter the store or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And just little things like that I think a lot of society has just let go.
I agree. Couldn't argue with you about that for a moment.
Well,
anyway.
Damn. See, I failed again.
Yeah, like I
Here
said,
we go.
Today you're a non-nemesis.
And a born failure.
Thanks for your call, Don.
Well, you're quite welcome.
All right.
As I say, and I must thank you. See, there we go again.
That
business of this thing. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And you go on about your business. No, thank you. And no, good grief, we could be here until your next break.
We could be, which is coming up in like 10 minutes. I need to take this break.
You're quite welcome, sir, and thank you for taking my
You
call.
betcha. Bye.
Bye.
It is the Rob Hanson radio program. Yeah, and I like talking to Don. He's a trip, man. This is a trippy Don. My radio nemesis. It is the Rob Hanson radio program, KTOX 1340 AM, 47 minutes after the hour. Right back.
You're listening to KTOX 1340 AM, Needles, California.
NFL. You want it?
We got it.
want it more than they do.
Come get it.
He got it. KTOX has it.
Your teams.
There's a man there. It's a touchdown. Redskins score. Over the goal line. Denver touchdown. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
Your players.
Adrian is gone. An 80-yard touchdown for Peterson.
NFL. Covered here.
Sunday afternoon. We are Fox Sports. Only on KTOX.
Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. At 6 I make his breakfast. Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. At 6 I make his breakfast. At 7 I shower. Every day I wake up
For
at
those caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It communicates, entertains, and has the ability to ignite the imagination. Since its origin, radio was, and still is,
Magic. KTOX. Radio for the mind.
You're listening to the Tri-State's original talk station. station, KTOX 1340 AM, Needles, California.
Good afternoon. You're listening to KTOX in Needles, California. This is Deborah, and I subscribe to community radio, and you should too.
Welcome back. It is the Rob Hanson radio program right here on KTOX 1340 AM. About 10 minutes to the hour. About 7 minutes left in this portion of, or at least this first hour. When we come back, we're going to have, we're going to talk for a few minutes, and then we've got a guest coming on by the name of Ron Sukenick. He's going to be talking about the life and, or about his book, 21 Days Success. The Life and Times of Guk Roten. It's written in an educational book written in fictionalized. I don't know. He'll tell us all about it. It's a pretty good book. I read the first chapter of it and would kind of like to have the rest of the book at some point in time, but you're gonna have to wait on that for a while. Anyway, we're talking about education in the United States right now. 1-800-842-1340. You got a comment you want to get in real quick? Feel free to pick up the phone and dial. But let's talk about teacher quality in the U.S. Okay, only about 38% of U.S. public school teachers majored in an academic subject in college. Okay, only about 38%. 40% of public high school teachers have neither an undergraduate major nor a minor in their main teaching field, and 34% of high school math teachers did not major or minor in a math-related field. Only 1 in 5 teachers feel well prepared to teach high academic standards. Maybe that is our problem. Maybe it is a teacher quality problem, especially when you put in the Common Core that's sweeping the nation as the new education trend. See, I don't have problems with setting standards for kids. You will meet these education standards or you fail. What I have a problem with is it's a program that's shoved down the throats of these schools and these kids as a one-size-fits-all, learn it or fail approach. We're taking the teachers who should be able to teach this material, should be teaching this material anyway, and we are compounding that mistake by shoving it into bite-sized pills that you have to do. This day you do this. 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 And if you couldn't get the first day of it, you're going to struggle with the second day. You're going to really struggle with the third, and really struggle with the fourth. And you're still confused about what happened on the first day. Teachers used to be able to take a group of kids and teach them the necessary material in such a way that if you didn't get it, they'd try a different approach. If you still didn't get it, they'd try another approach. If you didn't get it, well, guess what? You stayed after school with the teacher until you did get it. I don't know how many days I spent after school was out working with the teacher trying to get a concept. I don't know how many different ways my folks tried to teach me to whatever it was I was trying to learn in school. They took an active role. My mom, who was an educator for the first part of her life. Used to tell me that teaching a classroom of kids is an exercise in acrobatics. Some of them you have to stand on one foot while holding your nose. Others you have to stand on your head while balancing an apple on your toe. It's all about presentation. And now, with the Common Core, you get one presentation, one chance for those kids to get it. And if they don't get it, they fail. Boom. They're done. Take a quick call, then we're going to have to go to break. KTOX, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Oh, are we on the air now?
We are on the air.
Oh, okay. Hey, I just wanted to say that I think most of the classrooms are computer generated now. Like the teachers know the computers, and if the kids learn their computers, I think that's good. That's what's happening.
And a lot of that is true. There are a lot of computers in class now that are being used to present the information to the kids. It would be nice if that information was portable so they could bring it home and study it themselves.
Well, wait a minute. You're talking about your kids. You have a computer at home.
I have several computers at home.
Have access?
They don't have access to the material that the teacher is teaching.
To the computer.
They have access to my computer. They don't have access to the material that the teacher is teaching because it's proprietary information that can't be shared.
Oh, okay. Well, that's up to you. But anyway.
No, that's actually up to the school. Anyway, hey, out of time, but thanks for your call.
Oh, okay.
All righty. Have a good one. It is the Rob Hanson radio program. We've reached the top of the hour and the end of this segment. Wow. We'll have to revisit this again here in the near future because, frankly, there's just so much about this. And we need to talk about it more and more. It is the Rob Hanson radio program right here on KTOX 1340 AM. We're back right after the top of the hour news.
Now there's no light of day.
And now for your local news from KTOX.
The CEO of Golden Vertex Mine, Dick Whittington, appeared before the Bullhead City Council to dispel and confirm rumors that the mine is not shut down. However, no mining is occurring at the site.
I just want to clarify, the Moss Mine is not shut down. The Moss Mine has scaled back. We no longer have a mining operation. We no longer have what we call a crushing, screening, and agglomerating operation. We just have a heap leach. We are still in operation. It is a scaled back operation. I just want to make it clear that phase 2, which we've talked about, is not going ahead. We do have to raise $30 to $35 million. The market is very difficult right now. The price of gold has continued to come down. This is not a good time to be in the gold market as well. Right now, it's going to be a tough quarter for the company.
That was Golden Vertex Mine CEO Dick Whittington.
Private property rights are at issue in the challenge by the Navajo Nation to a federal decision involving access to religious sites. A 2006 agreement between the Navajo and Hopi that settled a decades-long land dispute is being cited by the Hopi tribe after a religious practitioner was cited for trespassing. The land in question is held by an allotment holder, similar to private property, and commissioners say they do not have jurisdiction over such property. The case has been appealed to the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court.
This has been your local news from
KTOX,
the Tri-States talk leader.
And get the machine that goes bing. Drive down Marina Drive, and you'll see what blight is like. Someone here talked about blight. How do we fix blight if we don't have the funding for it? How do we take care of that?
Tri-State's home of talk, KTOX, Needles.
With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Precious Watson. The U.S. Navy said Wednesday that one of 4 crew members who was rescued when a military helicopter went down in the Atlantic off of Virginia has died. The Navy said the crewman died hours after he was rescued about 20 miles east of Virginia Beach and taken to a civilian hospital in Norfolk. As al-Qaeda-aligned insurgents make unprecedented post-war gains in Iraq, U.S. military officials and others in the Obama administration are keeping their distance, despite mounting calls to ratchet up involvement amid fears the country is teetering on the brink of civil war. A deadly blast of Arctic air shattered decades-old temperature records as it enveloped the eastern United States on Tuesday, snarling air, road, and rail travel, driving energy prices higher and overwhelming shelters for homeless people. At least 9 deaths have been reported. You're listening to IRN USA News.
Well, ring-a-ding-ding, the year was 1936, and Leo and Lillian Goodwin were hot to trot for the world to save some big bucks on automotive insurance. So they opened up a little joint called Geico. Geico had the goods for all the dolls and Joes who were keen on swell service and keeping the cabbage.
Flash forward over 75 years, and Geico is still helping customers save money every day, and with 97% customer satisfaction. Today, the peeps would refer to that as pretty darn tight.
Geico, saving people money for over 75 years.
When I need to save my business a few bucks, this happens.
Office Max has a coupon for 20% off almost everything.
Okay, but what I really need is a new logo.
Office Max can help you design your brand identity and create business cards, letterhead, and more.
Great. Now about all these files.
Office Max has storage solutions that are just your style.
Nothing can stop me now.
That untied shoelace might.
If you need it for your business, you'll find it at Office Max. Now at 20% off. Restrictions apply. 20% off on select products only. Go to officemax.com for coupon and details. Offer ends January 11th.
The French digital privacy watchdog is fining Google for breaking rules on ensuring data privacy. National correspondent Hope Duggar reports.
The CNIL agency says Google's new privacy policy, which applies to all of its services from email to calendars, isn't specific enough about how and why it collects data from users and doesn't define how long it keeps such data, among other problems. EU authorities have also said the new privacy policy does not follow their rules. Google has contended that the new policy is simpler and complies with European law. Since the company did not change its policy as requested, the CNIL said Wednesday that it's fining Google. The agency also asked the search giant to post a statement about the decision on its French homepage, google.fr. With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Hope Duggar.
Authorities in England cordoned off flooded marshes Wednesday to investigate the crash of a military helicopter that killed 4 U.S. Air Force crew members. The Pavehawk helicopter slammed into the eastern coast during a low-level training mission Tuesday evening. This is IRN USA News.
Tonight, I cannot even conceive how you get charges dropped, released from jail, and put in charge of a unit.
I'm a changed man. There are good cops and bad cops.
Can't do everything with a battering ram.
I like it. Detective Voight is a little bit of both.
I want to get out.
You have a future beyond this neighborhood. It's okay to want that. Chicago PD from Dick Wolf, executive producer of SVU and Chicago Fire. The premiere of Chicago PD After Revolution and SVU tonight on NBC.
Former Defense Secretary Robert Gates is sharply critical of President Barack Obama in a new memoir titled Duty, Memories of a Secretary at War. Washington correspondent Connie Lawn reports.
The White House is fighting back against a new book by former Defense Secretary Robert Gates. He was extremely critical of President Obama and Vice President Biden in their foreign policy decisions. Gates said the White House respected military leaders and was convinced the war in Afghanistan would fail. Gates also said agreements with the Obama White House were good for only as long as they were politically convenient. The White House says Gates is wrong, and the president stands with Vice President Biden. Connie Lawn at the White House.
The largest outbreak of what authorities call nightmare bacteria is adding to concerns about the spread of drug-resistant bugs. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the largest outbreak to date of this bacteria, which is centered on a hospital in a Chicago suburb, has infected 44 people in Illinois over the past years. The bug bears a rare enzyme that breaks down antibiotics. A medical officer with the CDC and supervisor for the Illinois outbreak investigation, Alex Kalin, says the bug is a, quote, huge cluster, noting that only 97 cases of the infection has been reported to the agency since 2009. The superbug lives in the intestines and is not typically transmitted by casual contact outside of hospitals. With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Precious Watson.
The suicide rate of Native Americans is 25% higher than the national rate.
Today is just another day.
A day I think about you.
A day I remember your laugh.
A day I remember your sense of humor.
Why were you so sad?
What made you hurt so much?
Why didn't you call?
Why didn't I see your signs?
Your pain may be gone.
But mine just started.
No one said life was easy.
There is help. There's hope.
Reach out to someone.
Reach out to me.
Reach out to me.
Reach out to me.
A person commits suicide every 40 seconds.
So please get help. It's worth it. Be strong and live life.
This message was brought to you by Native Cry Outreach Alliance and KTOX.
The truth. You can't handle the truth. I'm Mike Lipschultz, asking you to support KTOX 1340 AM radio because I want to know the truth.
KTOX 1340 AM.
The Tri-State's original local talk station.
Welcome back. 6 after the hour in the tri-state area. This is the Rob Hanson radio program right here on KTOX 1340 AM. And, last hour we were talking about education or the lack thereof in the United States. And, a lot of... I think it's a topic that, we could spend several days on and still not really scratch too much of the surface. But, one thing is evident from everything that we've talked about, that regardless of how much money we spend per student, we're just not getting the job done. And, there's no one size fits all solution to this either, because each and every child is an individual. They're not being treated as such. They're being treated as, each child, boom, 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 boom. Here, this is your education, and you have to absorb it. Each of them learn in a different way. Take my older daughter, for instance. She's a marvelous artist. You give her a concept and she can draw it. Ask her to write a paragraph about a concept, and you're spitting into the wind. Ask her to write creatively, and you're not going to get anywhere coherent. Sure, she'll write a paragraph, but it won't stay on topic, or it's not the topic. It's a paragraph. She's done what she's was asked. It's a paragraph. But there's, like I said, there's no one answer. But the way we're approaching it definitely it's not working. It's just not working. Especially when we have a town that can boast the most teen pregnancies for high school students. That's because our sex education teaches abstinence only, and doesn't get into the reasons why, having unprotected sex is a bad idea. That's the reason why, we have kids that, get bored, absolutely bored with school. They're not challenged because they're still teaching to the lowest common denominator. I really worry about our near future. I really worry about where are the structural engineers, where are the rocket scientists? Where are the doctors? Where are the people with solid skill sets to pass on or invent the next wheel? Because I'm just not seeing it in this generation. Sure, Moss Mine donated a whole bunch of materials to the high school to encourage somebody to come back within 15 years and be the manager of Moss Mine. To encourage somebody, to get into the geological sciences. Know how to operate a mine. Where are our other skilled labor? Where are the people that can operate the heavy equipment? Where are the people that can fix the heavy equipment when it breaks? Where are the people that can dig a perfect ditch? We've got these kids so screwed up that they feel that they absolutely must go to college and incur crushing lifetime debts in excess of $250,000 or more. I shudder. My youngest daughter wants to be a doctor so bad. I shudder at the cost of how much it's going to cost to get her into a good medical school. I shudder at that. And just pre-med. We think we got medical school figured out. But pre-med. I guarantee my salary here, which I don't get a salary, definitely won't cover sending kids to college. So what are we relying upon? We're relying upon student loans at a ridiculously high interest rate. And right out of school, you're not at your highest earning potential. You're at your lowest. You're not going to walk out of a business school as the CEO of some Fortune 500 company. You have to work your way up into that position. And starting on the bottom rung, you aren't making all that much money. You've got a crushing overhead debt to begin with. Then you have to then you're forced to buy your own food, buy your own health insurance, buy your own clothing, transportation, housing, the whole 9 yards, and still be able to pay off a $250,000 loan or better. I'm super proud of my niece. She graduates high school this spring, and by the end of the summer, this coming summer, she'll have her associate's degree from Mojave County Community College. Because she's worked really hard over the last couple of years, taking college courses, as well as her high school courses. So she gets to kick back for a little while, go to work, earn some money, and then decide if she wants to continue on with a further education. In the meantime, she's learning a skill that she can fall back on from anywhere, and still be able to support herself if she decides she wants to go 2 more years to go ahead and get her bachelor's degree in whatever she's deciding to pursue. Or she may decide she wants to go to trade school, become a commercial makeup artist for movies or something like that. Or she may decide that she really, really, really wants to pursue a nursing career. So she goes and finishes her pre-med and nursing school. these are considerations that she's able to afford herself because she's taken it upon herself to do these extra things. But other kids don't get those kind of advantages because they're stuck in a rut. They're stuck in a hole that that they don't see any escape from, except at the end of high school and graduation and off to college, where they still don't know what the heck they want to be when they grow up. Darn few kids know what they're going to be when they grow up. It is the Rob Hanson radio program. When we come back, we're going to have our guest with us, Ron Sukenick. I will be calling him in just a minute and get that set up. We're going to talk about 21 Days Success, his new book, and social networking in 2014. It is the Rob Hanson radio program. Right back right after these messages.
You're listening to My Daddy on KTOX Renegade Radio 1340 AM.
KTOX Radio for the Mind.
If you need something medical, wouldn't you go to a store called Anything Medical that's the largest store of its kind in the nation? Where is this store? Right here in Bullhead City at 4345 Highway 95 in the Target Plaza next to Staples. Anything Medical's inventory is second to none, and they specialize in all your respiratory needs. Anything Medical carries Cherokee, jockey shorts, and Dickie scrubs, and lift chairs starting at just $5.99. Anything Medical in the Target Plaza next to Staples, where a first-time customer becomes a long-time friend.
And now for your local news from KTOX.
Taking a proactive lead in reducing health care costs, the Mojave County Board of Supervisors at their meeting on Monday approved the offering of a wellness program for county employees. It is anticipated Mojave County will become a healthier place to live by getting rid of diseases caused by controllable factors such as obesity and smoking. The county will provide access to the program and assistance to all employees who are interested in participating. A plea agreement to 2 of 10 charges was entered by Eulelio Trejo Hernandez, 18 of Golden Valley, in an attempt to avoid up to 24 years in prison for having child pornography on his cell phone, photos that he shared online at a social networking site. The plea was to 2 counts of attempted sexual exploitation of a minor and will see Hernandez being sentenced to lifetime probation and up to 1 year in county jail at a 3 February sentencing hearing in Mojave County Superior Court. A home invasion in Bullhead City on Sunday left 2 women visibly shaken after 2 men held them at gunpoint, threatened them, and demanded the women give them money and weed. The thieves kicked in the front door, with one of them pointing a shotgun and pulling the trigger twice. Fortunately, the weapon did not discharge. The suspects fled the scene with a small safe and a black Toyota Camry bearing a stolen license plate.
This has been your local news from
KTOX,
the Tri-States Talk Leader.
And get the machine that goes bing.
Drive down Marina Drive, and you'll see what blight is like. Someone here talked about blight. How do we fix blight if we don't have the funding for it? How do we take care of that?
Hi, this is Joe Perry and Steven Tyler of Aerosmith for Red. You know, it's okay to rock and roll and party down. Just don't get in that 2,000-pound bullet when you're done and cocked. And please don't drink and drive. I'm the one that jaded you.
A reminder that friends don't let friends drive drunk. A public service message brought to you by the Ad Council, U.S. Department of Transportation, National Association of Broadcasters, and RAD.
You're listening to KTOX, AM 1340, Needles, California, the home of talk in the Tri-State.
Good morning. This is Mike and Mary. That's my wife. We listen to KTOX every morning just so we can hear the truth.
appetite, not unattractive. Turn me on tonight, 'cause I'm radioactive.
Welcome back. It is the Rob Hanson radio program right here on KTOX 1340 AM, the Tri-State's Renegade radio station. Going to be joined here in just a moment by Ron Sukenick. He is the president and founder of the Relations Strategy Institute, a global training and business development company that provides business community with strategies for development and effectively utilizing deeper professional relationships. He is a three-time best-selling author, and he has a new book that has recently become Amazon's bestseller. Ron Sukenick is a dynamic presenter and intuitive business coach and a successful author. There we go. You know, if I get my tongue unwrapped from around my teeth, I'll be much better communicator. Welcome in, Ron. How you doing today?
Hey, thank you so much, Rob. You know, that was a great introduction. I can hardly wait to hear what I've got to say.
Neither me. I'm sitting here on pins and needles.
Well, you're out there in pins and needles. The station is out there in needles, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But what a treat to be with you. In fact, it's getting warmer already. You know, we had 15 below zero temperature and about 12 inches of snow where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, we were wondering Monday whether, you know, this phone line would actually work out there.
Yeah, well, that's right. We had some issues, but the good news is I'm there, and thank you so much for the opportunity, Rob. Glad to be part of the show.
My pleasure. So what's the weather like out there today? You
well,
said
today it's
warm.
warmed up. It's hitting about 10 degrees, so
My
we're good.
goodness gracious, you're in the middle of a heat wave.
Yeah.
Go grab the bikini and the suntan lotion. There you go.
But I'll tell you, it's tough when it's really freezing cold and a lot of snow on the ground to get out and connect and be with people, as you would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really my biggest struggle sometimes, because I love people so much and being around them, and I love building relationships and connecting with people, that it's tough when I can't get out, and the cold and the snow keep you out from doing that.
I hear you, and you know, even here in the wonderful Mojave Desert where we live. Now, our winter is really the summer when it becomes 120 degrees out, and nobody wants to go outside in that kind of heat, and especially talk to each other.
No, and I'm sure.
But you teach how to effectively network with people online, in social media. How is it that you do your work?
Well, you know, let's backtrack if we can.
Sure.
And thank you for asking. You know, I got into the world of connecting with people in the 70s, and I realized that the desire for success hasn't changed. What's changing is how we get there. So people are very clearly open to helping one another get ahead. So you know, I started teaching when my first book was published, Networking Your Way to Success. I then started to recognize, and by the way, that was published in '95. 9 years later, I shifted from networking into a philosophy called net being, which is a word that captures essence of relationship mindsets.
Net being?
Net being, B-E-I-N-G, and the whole premise on that, Rob, is you got to be before you can do. You do to the extent of who you are, and who you are is based predominantly on how you think. So the real key to power, success, accomplishment, achievement is method of thinking.
Gotcha.
And then what I did was I teamed up with Ken Williams, who's just a great writing partner, built it around my nonfiction Networking Your Way to Success, brought it alive through the eyes of a fictional character, and of course that is the new book, which was the Amazon bestseller in October, and still doing well, titled 21 Days to Success Through Networking, The Life and Times of Nick Roten. It's in story form, and I always got that people can really get it when they're reading it in the form of a story. So a lot of my teaching is certainly done at speaking all over the country. It's on phone, group coaching, individual coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really how I teach, I guess. But I just love to be around people.
Now, give me an example, okay? Here you have. Let's use me as an example. I'm a good example of how not to do things most of the time.
Okay.
I'm a small town radio personality, evidently, and I want to be able to reach out and gather in, say, like more listeners or something like that.
Okay.
What would be your first set of advice?
Okay. Well, there's okay. So first of all, what I always share with people is that networking is not a place you're going to. It's a place you come from.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something we do sometimes in some places. It's something we can do all the time and everywhere. So the bottom line is increasing visibility. So if you want to attract more listeners, if you want to attract more business, you've got to create some visibility, unparalleled visibility. Well, social media has been great. You know, one of the first things that I did the other day, and you may have noticed it, Rob, is I went directly to your website, Rob Hanson Radio, right up there on Facebook.
Yeah, the Rob Hanson Radio program on Facebook. You
yeah,
betcha.
I went right there. I've never seen you, but you see, I didn't even know you existed until you reached out to tell me you existed, and you were kind enough to say, "Hey, Ron, I believe my listening audience would love to hear the message." And then I didn't know you had a Facebook page until I invested a little bit of time by talking with you to figure that one out. So to me, it's increasing visibility. It's letting people know that you exist. And of course, you know, if you were a clear channel and you were all over the country,
right,
you're building a larger following. But, you know, right now I like you. You know, I liked you on Facebook. So, you may be my best friend after tonight.
Wonderful. I can always use more friends.
Yeah. So, but increasing visibility means that you just become more visible, right? So we can do it through social media, which means you should have constant posts on Twitter, on Facebook. Certainly have your presence on LinkedIn as an example.
Mm-hmm.
You can put pictures up on Pinterest or Instagram. I think going to Chamber of Commerce events, because they're all about promoting economic welfare in the community. Speaking about the 10 mistakes most people make when they want to get into radio broadcasting and what you can do about it. You can teach them about things you've learned in your life from being on radio.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just being more visible for any, you know, either, look, if you're a business,
right,
and you don't have nearly as much business as you'd like, well, either people are coming to you or you're going to the people. So that's at least one of the things. Another quick thought, because there's so many strategies. You know, I always tell people, Rob,
mm-hmm.
that you've got to develop strategy. Strategy puts you into command and to controls. Command and control. And it gets you more focused. You become highly intentional about what you're looking to accomplish. So you become purpose-driven. And then what you do is you start to develop relationships with people. You go after relationships instead of the sale. And you get better connected to people. You know, the more time you and I, Rob, invest in getting to know one another and how we can help one another, is the stronger and the relationship becomes, because that's really the biggest investment we make is time. So those are a couple of quick thoughts, but I hope that answers some of the questions.
Well, it does actually, and you know, just, you know what, I hate to say this, but it developed about 5,000 new questions that I don't know where to start at. But you know, the basic premise from what I'm getting is basically get out there, shake some hands, and get to know people on a personal basis.
Well, that's how politicians do that. I mean, how do they get elected? Well, all they've got to do is get out on the streets and shake hands with people and meet people
mm-hmm.
and take an interest in people. You know, to me, it's really a philosophy. You know, the one thing that Nick Rowten, which is GNIKROWTEN, which is the fictional character that brings the new book alive,
uh-huh.
He really gets that it's not about him.
Can we hang on to that thought for just a moment? I've got a bottom of the hour break I have to take, but I'll come right back with you, okay?
Sure.
It is the Rob Hanson radio program. We'll be right back right after the bottom of the hour news right here on KTOX 1340 AM, the Tri-State's Renegade Radio Network.
Arizona News Radio Services marking the 3rd anniversary of the Tucson Massacre. Congressman Ron Barber.
The compassion, the love, the prayers, and the goodwill that poured out has helped all of us heal our broken hearts and bring some good out of that horrific day.
A Casa Grande woman indicted for first-degree murder in connection with the suffocation death of her 13-year-old daughter. Adam Villa is the father of the kids.
At this time, nothing. I'm keeping their lives the same. They go to school and just keeping the family together.
Based on police looking for a man who punched a 92-year-old woman as he was burglarizing her home.
The homeowner was awakened by that, and on the way out, as the suspect was trying to get out of the house, actually hit the victim.
More surgery for a posse member from Maricopa County. His wife got some money today to help.
He has an extremely long road. So this is another surgery. There's more to come.
George Tatter, Arizona News Radio.
Jerry,
what's wrong?
the client conference call is right now.
I thought it was next week.
I don't have the presentation ready.
Okay. Blame the internet. Say it went out.
They'll never believe that. They know we have Cox Business. Our internet is too reliable and is 100 times faster than basic DSL.
Say customer service is closed.
Cox Business has 24/7 support.
Well, say it would take too long to get a technician here.
No, they know the award-winning customer service is local. They told us to get Cox Business.
The call has started.
Good morning.
I forgot about this meeting. We have terrific internet.
Switch to Cox Business Internet and Voice for only $99 a month. Speed options up to 100 times faster than basic DSL. Get a 30-day money-back guarantee and free professional installation with a 3-year agreement. Visit coxbusiness.com and switch today. Offer ends 4/30/14. Prices exclude taxes and other fees and may be subject to minimum service requirements.
We're KTOX, your local government watchdog for the tri-state.
You're to really be congratulated for having a station, and I say this with great admiration, standing up and independently seeking out information that your supporters there and advertisers in that community realize what you've got going. You've got an open voice that allows you to hear what's going on and to get the news, and an open voice for you to make your opinions known. That is not allowed in an awful lot of markets right now.
KTOX, Needles, a creative broadcasting services station.
This is Professor Michio Kaku. Freedom of speech is not free. Courageous stations like this one need your advertising dollars to pay their bills. Talk radio is America's immune system. If you run a business, it makes sense for you to advertise with this station. Here's the good news. According to Talkers Magazine, ads airing on talk stations like this one generate 2 to 3 times the response from customers than other radio formats because talk radio listeners support with their dollars the advertisers that support the shows that they love. If you run a business, advertise on this station. And if you're a listener, do business with the businesses that advertise on this station.
KTOX, Needles, a creative broadcasting services station.
The internet has given everyone in America a voice, and evidently everyone in America has chosen to use that voice.
Damn you, internet! Dude, it's not fake. The internet's pure truth.
Good heavens, I was right. The man is crazy.
You ride that internet, you weird, glorious bastard.
KTOX1340.com. Check it out.
It's on the internet.
This is Ted Nugent at KTOX 1340 AM, where the spirit of the wild is strong and free.
Welcome back. It is the Rob Hanson radio program right here on KTOX 1340 AM. If you have a question for our guest, feel free to call 1-800-842-1340. We'll take your questions as they come in. But we were talking before the break with Ron Sukenick about his new book and the main character of his book, Gink Roten.
Nick Roten, which is GNIKROWTEN, and that's networking backwards, Rob.
Oh, geez.
I know there's some hidden meaning there, right? There's got to be some hidden meaning.
Oh, man. You know what? Yeah, I'm dyslexic, and I didn't see that.
I didn't see that.
Well, okay, all right. You got networking backwards. So that's how he got his name. Is that?
Well, no, that's not how he actually got his name. The concept of his name backwards evolves out of a Disney movie concept. It's backward planning.
Ah, gotcha.
So we came to a rather happy ending at the end of 21 days, through a series of events and challenges and aha moments and people he connects with on a daily basis. After 21 days, he becomes this master network worker. But he was named, his family, the Rotens, were highly sociable. And in the book, it basically talks about how he was stressed one day, but his wife had mentioned that if you look at it backwards, it spells desserts. So his parents were really into these games, and they said, look, because we love networking so much, let's call him Nick Roten, and instead of with an N, let's do it with a G. And it's so funny because when Nick meets Pam for the first day that he's in town, he introduces himself as Nick with a G. And she kind of smirks a little bit, and she kind of smiles and says, oh, okay, nice to meet you. By the way, I'm Pam with a P. So that's how they start that relationship. And then she comes into his life 6 times in 21 days, which is really a magic number in the world of networking.
How so?
Well, if you can get up to 6 interactions with anyone, it's likely you can have a good beginning for a relationship that never ends. I call it the magic of 6. Increased interaction gives us increased cooperation. Repetition builds our reputation. So take this as an example. Let's say you and I end up at a Chamber of Commerce meeting or some business meeting, and we meet each other for the first time, Rob. Well, that's kind of nice. We have some talk, we exchange business cards, shake hands, and then what? Well, hopefully, if I have a system in place, which is really what you need to do, is I would send you an email within 48 hours or less, the faster the better, and simply say, hey, Rob, what a pleasure to meet you. Now, that's our second interaction. The faster the better. If I can get up to 6 interactions with anybody, I'm investing time and effort into that relationship. And I know for a fact that if I can get up to 6 interactions with anybody, and you know, you and I may not see each other for another 30 days until the next meeting comes, unless you and I thought that maybe we can help one another, and we chose to meet at some local coffee shop in about a week or so. But the more we invest into people, getting up to the magic of 6, the likelihood we've got a good relationship that potentially would never end.
Now, in your book, I read the sample chapters that I was able to get from Amazon, it is available on Amazon if you're looking for that.
Yes, it is.
It starts out with him delivering a resignation letter to his boss, Molly.
That's right. He does. And I'll tell you what's interesting about that. It took him, if you read into that, you probably noticed it took him 6 months. See, he's always wanted to start his own business. He just didn't have the courage. And so what he did was write the resignation notice, but put it into his drawer. 6 months later, he figured out that maybe now's the time for me to step out. And you got to imagine what it's like. I mean, he walks into a city, knows no one, and then through a range of real-world situations, events, insights, and challenges, through his eyes, who I think almost anybody can relate to, he makes a fresh start in a new city with very few, if any, friends, prospects, business contacts, and then over a period of 3 weeks, each day he discovers and learns these tools and these techniques. But I'll tell you something that he really does in this book. And again, it's all programmed to be this way. He thinks a lot. You see, he is very vulnerable in his move into this city, Rob. And when I say vulnerable, he's just open. He's not defenseless, but he's open. And in fact, for the listening audience, it doesn't get any better than today to get better connected to people, because people in general are so much more open to connection. And I mentioned it early on, Rob, the desire for success hasn't changed. What's changing is how we get there. But the ending comment I just want to make on this is he thinks a lot. Contemplation, continuous thought, is a high level of activity. I mean, think about it for yourself, Rob. When you get interested in anything, you think about it, don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the more you keep thinking about it, the more likely it is you can absorb what the message is and what you need to accomplish. Well, that's what he does every day. Every day he has these experiences with these interesting people, and he gets out and he practices what he learned the day before, and he keeps moving it forward, and 21 days later, he's this master networker guy.
And... which leads me to my next question. How is that possible?
How is what possible?
Gink becomes a master network in only 21 days. How is that possible?
Well, here's how it's possible. First of all, he's highly intentional. So he he made a decision that he would be somewhat successful. He didn't necessarily set a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Then he picked up a total of 21 different lessons in 21 days.
Okay.
And then he was able to change his perspective. He was able to see, if we change the way we see things, the things we look at. So through daily practice, aha moments, he becomes inspired almost on a daily basis. And then, of course, he picks up his mentor, which is Pam, on the first day that he's in town. But I can tell anybody that's listening this evening or today, if you read the book and you incorporate each day, if you just do what it tells you to do every day for 21 straight days, you'll become a master networker. You'll be well ahead of the curve. But I'll give you a hint, Rob. It's more than just networking. You see, it's more than just the shaking of hands and the handing out of business cards, right, and making the follow-up phone calls. In fact, I'm sure our listening audience knows that networking is pretty awkward and hit and miss for most people.
Well, it is, and especially for me. I'm a people person, but I'm not a hand-to-hand, face-to-face people person. I get awkward. I feel awkward. I feel, sometimes I feel intimidated.
Yeah, but you can win through that intimidation, right? Because it's just, again, if we change the way we see things, things we look at change. So let's take a look at what you just said. You said you're not a real people person. Well, maybe you're not. But let's remember who said that, right? That was you.
Right.
You said that. Now, but for some people, they may not think they're a people person, but they may think you're really a people person because, the perception is you're on the radio, you're talking to people all the time. But again, maybe you're not that people person. Well, guess what? People do business and enjoy being with people they meet, they feel comfortable with, they like, and they trust. So what I always tell people, listen, have a place that you come from. Have a way of being with people. The one thing that Nick learns very, very quickly early on is that the gift is in the giving. When you look at networking, it's the sharing of ideas, information, and resources. A network is a system of elements, people that are linking together to have common goals. Well, my God, if the gift is in the giving, what can I give to people? Ideas, you do this all the time on your shows, Rob. You're sharing ideas, information, and resources.
Absolutely.
Which is and you know what happens when we give to people? It makes us feel good. And it triggers a chemical reaction in the brain, and it is known as the serotonin level. It makes us feel good. Well, think about this, Rob. You feel good sharing ideas, information, and resources, and that's why you do what you do.
Right.
But what about the people listening today to your show? How does it make them feel? And the fact is, it makes them feel good, too. Because there's never a substitute for facts, information, and knowledge. So to me, I think people, especially people in transition, Rob, they use networking as a way to find a job.
Right.
Nick learns very quickly it's not about what I can get. It's almost like what's his name said. Remember Kennedy in the 60s? He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for the country.
Absolutely.
So You know, what goes around comes around, that very familiar law of reciprocity. And then he learns about the gift of attention. And he starts to realize that, my God, there's so much time and effort and energy and attention that I can give people. See, he gets present in the moment. He's not out there just jerking around trying to get business. He's really getting into helping and experiencing people. And I'll just end with this one last comment,
Sure.
Rob. Well, not end, but at least share this.
Please
You know,
don't end.
motivational experts in the last century proposed certainly a timeless and sustaining theme in the study of motivation, right? They say that human beings throughout the world share fundamental needs, right?
Right.
Physiologically and survival and to reaching potential. And as people, we love affiliation. And as people, we love relationships. So to me, I think when you go out there with what you can give to people, it makes an unbelievable difference, and you're adding value. I mean, when was the last time, from the standpoint of listening, think about this. When was the last time anybody that's listening to this broadcast had somebody say to you, thanks for taking the time to listen? You know, the one thing that Nick learns in the book, at least what I think he learns, is that when he speaks, he learns what he knows.
Mm-hmm.
When he listens, he learns what others know, and he really gets that it's what others have to say, which is so much more important than what he's got to say. And you go out on the streets in your community, and you become a great, what you did was become a great listener. My God, it doesn't get any better than that.
Sounds like some very useful strategies. Now, you've talked about developing relationship strategies, and and obviously two of them are, you know, speaking what you know, and then listening to whoever you're speaking with as they respond to you and learning what they know. What else can you do to develop other relationship strategies?
Okay, and there's a whole bunch of those, but let me give you an idea. Let's think about that commercial, that Dos Equis commercial.
Uh-huh.
Remember the guy, he's the most interesting guy in the world?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so here's a great strategy.
I don't always drink beer, but when I do,
No, but you hear it. He sits there, and he's got these girls, and he's the most interesting man in the world. Well, guess what? A great strategy for networking and relationship success is become the most interested person in the world. So when I take an interest in you, it makes it so much easier for you to consider taking an interest in me, right? If we take an interest in one another, we help one another, right? We all do better as a result. So to me, it's taking an interest in others. In fact, what he learns in the book, which is, again, part of the strategy, is to become a 47-second networker. He really gets that it's not about him. Nobody really cares about him. So he basically says, hey, here's who I am, here's what I do, but hey, guess what? That's enough about me. Who are you? What are you all about? What can I do to help you? And you know, when you go to a networking event, typically in this country, most people don't care about you, Rob. They really don't. Maybe they don't. They don't care about me sometimes, right?
Uh-huh.
So I know that already. So my strategy is, who am I? They're there to better themselves. Let me better them. Let me see what resources I can bring to the table. But what I really do is I focus on listening. And listening gives me competitive advantage. That's where the money is. That's where the money is in everything we do. So for me, relationship strategies, oh my God, there's a whole, you know, my second book, which was came out in 2004, The Power is in the Connection.
Mm-hmm.
I've identified 15 relationship strategies, but I'll tell you, the biggest thing is to invest time and effort into people. You know, you got to become purpose. You know, here's another question, and I get this all the time, and I'm going to give everybody a tip or a helpful hint right now.
Okay.
We're starting to work on the second book in the series. So what happens is Nick goes back home to tell all his friends about his experience over the last 3 weeks, goes to a friend's wedding, and he really gets that it's more than just the shaking of hands and the passing of business cards. And he really talks about, Pam keeps telling him it's about relationships. And I can't wait to get back and speak to Pam. When he comes back, and this is not in the book, but it's the first beginning part of the book, the second book in the series, he says to Pam that I'm really interested in learning more about relationships and how to build relationships. And the first thing she says to him, Rob, is that if you want to build and strengthen and deepen relationships with others, you got to first build, strengthen, and deepen relationship with yourself. So now he gets into self-reflection, reason for being, and that's the second book. But take a look at the Beatles. I'm a big Beatle fan, and I was in the 6th row at Shea Stadium. I wasn't old enough to drive, but I was there and I saw them. You couldn't hear them, but you heard. But I did see them at Shea. But I'll tell you, they went to India in 1968 to be with the Maharishi, and they went there to figure out the meaning of life, reason for being, self-reflection. And I'll tell you, when people do that, we become highly prolific. In fact, that was the most prolific time. The Beatles were inspired to write about 42 songs, if I'm correct. So some of those strategies...
I remember that. The White Album came out of that
It did. But that was the 6 weeks that they were there. But to me, I tell you, becoming fascinated with people, acting like a host, not a guest. Nick really gets that as well. A lot of times we go to events and we don't know anybody and we're kind of standing in the corner. And I love to find people standing in the corner and meeting them and then introducing them to other people that I meet for the very first time.
Oh, that's me, the wallflower altogether.
The wallflower. I'll tell you, I got all kinds of stories, but I'm telling you, people are just so open. So to me, it's getting back to your question. Can somebody read this book? And I mean, it's a fast read. It's like the Purpose-Driven Life. I mean, they said to read that in 40 days. I read it in 7 days, I think, because I was so excited. I didn't want to wait to get to the end, 40 days. But in 21 days, people can become a great networker. And they learn the value of networking with abundance, the benefits of planning, how to create a natural flow of business. Because there's no mystery how doctors work, do they?
No.
I go to my primary care health physician, and I had a problem with my shoulder. So what does he do, Rob? He refers me to the orthopedic doctor. Well, that was a natural flow of business, right? So
Yes,
Nick learns that. Of course, when I went to the orthopedic doctor, he said, well, it might be something to do with your nervous system. And somehow he referred me to the neurologist. See? And then eventually, when they couldn't figure it out, they just referred me over to the physical therapist. So I think people that are listening is, what's the natural flow of business? Who are the kinds of people that we need to connect with that become strategic partners for us? And everybody can figure that out. At least Nick did it, because he was in the marketing business, and he realized that if he got a deal, almost everybody in his network can get a deal.
Interesting. That's actually very interesting. Now, you have a website, www.ronsukenick.com, and that's RONSUKENICK.com.
Correct. Thank you for that.
You betcha. I've got this here. I've got you covered. my job is to promote you as well as me. But but here we have. Just you raise a bunch of questions, and the reason I mentioned your website is because you have the answer to a bunch of those questions on your website as well.
And thank you. And I attempt to do that. And of course, I have articles, and I blogged a little bit. And in fact, I put out a blog the other day that talks about looking back in order to move forward.
Okay.
I did a nice little blog on the sleep number bed.
Oh, really?
I love that sleep number bed. And I tied into the concept of relationships on how you can get a bed. Well, what a smart technique that one was, to have a bed that my wife can meet her needs, and on the other side of the bed is me, and I can meet my needs. So I just always looking to just share insights, and I tweet a lot. because it's kind of fun. And I just love following other people and seeing what they're all about. And it's really the investment, Rob, we need to make. But you're right. Anybody can go to my website. In fact, if they go to my website and they decide to buy my book, they get an autographed copy. Now, that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Amazon won't send them an autographed copy, but or they can go to any major bookstore. So most bookstores are carrying it all over the country. But yeah, that would be great. And I have a newsletter that goes out monthly that shares all kinds of insights, and people can sign up for that as well just by going to ronsukenick.com.
Very good. Well, I saw you had a bunch of videos up there that I'm going to be investigating further into. Yeah. Yeah, I saw them. I was. You got this down to a science. I got to say
I think, a little bit.
I've considerably more than a little bit, because it's definitely more than I know. So, you're the guru here, and I'm just kind of dipping my toe in. But it looks to be very, very much informative. And I'm looking forward to save enough ducks to buy your book on Amazon so I can read it. I see paper is going away. I like my little Samsung Galaxy thingy. Yeah, love those. Just
well, you know what I can do, if it's okay with you, because the gift is clearly in the giving.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I just go ahead and send you something that you can put right onto your Galaxy as a gift from me?
That'll work. I am not above accepting gifts, and then I'll try to.
I love getting gifts, but don't you? Now, do you love receiving gifts, or do you love giving gifts more? Do you have
actually, you know what? I like giving more, honestly. Getting's great, especially when it comes to surprise. But Ron, I hate to say this, I am out of time for the day.
Oh my!
I want to have you on again at some point. Are you amenable to that?
Yeah, I am. Let's build some nice relationships out in your for your listening audience. I'd be more than happy to come on at any time. All we have to do is schedule it. But again, what a treat, Rob, to be with you.
Well, I'm certainly pleased and glad that you're here. Thanks a bunch, Ron.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye. It is the Rob Hanson radio program. Wow, that was cool. I like that. Make sure you visit his website, www.ronsukenick.com. And if you're interested in expanding your business network, your personal network, whatever network, give it a try, because he's got some really good information. It is the Rob Hanson radio program right here on KTOX 1340 AM. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat place.
If I wanted anything to do with Sam McDonald, I'd call Domino's and order a pizza.
When it comes to local news, state news, business news, national news, sports, variety, information, and more, KTOX is the Tri-State's talk leader.
And now for your local news from KTOX.
The CEO of Golden Vertex Mine, Dick Whittington, appeared before the Bullhead City Council to dispel and confirm rumors that the mine is not shut down. However, no mining is occurring at the site.
I just want to clarify, the Moss Mine is not shut down. The Moss Mine has scaled back. We no longer have a mining operation. We no longer have what we call a crushing, screening, and agglomerating operation. We just have a heap leach. We are still in operation. It is a scaled back operation. I just want to make it clear that phase 2, which we've talked about, is not going ahead. We do have to raise $30 to $35 million. The market is very difficult right now. The price of gold has continued to come down. This is not a good time to be in the gold market as well. Right now, it's going to be a tough quarter for the company.
That was Golden Vertex Mine CEO Dick Whittington.
Private property rights are at issue in the challenge by the Navajo Nation to a federal decision involving access to religious sites. A 2006 agreement between the Navajo and Hopi that settled a decades-long land dispute is being cited by the Hopi tribe after a religious practitioner was cited for trespassing. The land in question is held by an allotment holder, similar to private property, and commissioners say they do not have jurisdiction over such property. The case has been appealed to the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court.
This has been your local news from
KTOX,
the Tri-States talk leader.
And get the machine that goes bing.
Drive down Marina Drive, and you'll see what blight is like. Someone here talked about blight. How do we fix blight if we don't have the funding for it? How do we take care of that?
Tri-State's home of talk, KTOX, Needles.
With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Precious Watson. The U.S. Navy said Wednesday that one of 4 crew members who was rescued when a military helicopter went down in the Atlantic off of Virginia has died. The Navy said the crewman died hours after he was rescued about 20 miles east of Virginia Beach and taken to a civilian hospital in Norfolk. As al-Qaeda-aligned insurgents make unprecedented post-war gains in Iraq, U.S. military officials and others in the Obama administration are keeping their distance, despite mounting calls to ratchet up involvement amid fears the country is teetering on the brink of civil war. A deadly blast of Arctic air shattered decades-old temperature records as it enveloped the eastern United States on Tuesday, snarling air, road, and rail travel, driving energy prices higher and overwhelming shelter